Dear friends, really, really short and sweet, and just such a nice talk from the Rebbe we're going to learn today. There's a very fascinating topic in Jewish belief, which many wonder about. It's a little bit superstitious, so people wonder about it. The idea of the evil eye, even the horoscope, all of these types of beliefs all fall into a certain, superstitious belief. There's maybe forces at play that could affect our lives, and we did a whole course about these topics, right? Last spring, for those of you who remember, we did the Supernatural course. And an area where that concept of the evil eye appears in the Torah is in this week's parsha about Joseph. So it's very interesting how it comes up. So let's learn it. And the Rebbe touches upon it, speaks about it, and gives us just such a beautiful, inspirational idea. So let's first give a little bit of the background to the parsha, and then I'll give you a little bit of a background to the talk, and then we'll learn it together. This week's parsha is the final parsha in the book of Genesis, Bereshit. We're concluding the story of our patriarchs. Jacob passes away in this week's Torah portion. And I should mention the Torah does not say that Jacob dies. Torah doesn't say that. The Torah implies it, but the Torah does not say those words. And the Talmud explains, and Rashi brings it down in his commentary, for Jacob never truly died because every Jew is alive. We are the life of Jacob. How could you say Jacob is dead when the children of Jacob are keeping his soul alive through our souls? We are the children of Jacob, which is such a beautiful teaching. You can't even say that Jacob died. The Torah doesn't even want to say those words. Because in essence, Jacob doesn't die. He has 12 children, the 12 tribes, and a beautiful Jewish people. And every single one of us are a testament to Jacob's life. So that's such a powerful idea that is at the very heart of this week's Torah portion. But what happens is, the bulk of this week's parsha is that Jacob, seeing that his end is near, that's what the Torah says. He sees that it's the end of his days. He calls in all of his children, all of the 12 tribes, and he blesses each and every single one of them. Each one with a very unique and distinct blessing. And the blessings themselves need a lot of study. They're very cryptic. They have many layers of depth to it. And in fact, if you open up a Chumash, if you open up a book of Torah, you'll see the commentaries on the blessings to the 12 tribes are massive. Rashi's commentaries. Rashi doesn't go too deep. Rashi is there to give you the simple meaning of every single verse. And any question that will come up just from a simple, even a 5-year-old mind studying the Torah. Rashi is just packed. A lot of commentary. And we're going to be focusing on Joseph's blessing. Joseph. So let us begin on page 3 with the Rebbe's talk. And we'll first begin with a piece of Talmud that the Rebbe quotes. The Talmud speaks about this, and actually I remember very clearly when I was in yeshiva and I studied this piece of parsha. I can still tell you exactly where, this piece of Talmud. I can tell you exactly where on the page of the Talmud this little passage is from. I remember learning it so well. I was 15 years old, yeah. I remember who I was learning it with. I remember which table I was sitting at, which direction I was facing. It's very interesting. Sometimes you learn something and it just sticks with you for life. Okay, in any case, this is from the Tractate of Shabbat, page 156a. And the Talmud says like this. It was written in Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi's notebook. One who is born on the first day of the week, on Sunday, will be a person, and there will not be one in him. He'll be missing something. What does that mean? What is the meaning of the phrase? There will not be one in him. What does that mean? Talmud explains that one born on a Sunday is either completely for the best or completely for the worst. Meaning he's not going to be somebody with two opposing forces inside of him, a Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov, a good inclination, evil inclination. He's going to be a full, complete person in one way, and he's not going to have the other one inside of him. What is the reason for this? It is because both light and darkness were created on the first day of creation. So the first day of creation represents polar opposites, light and dark, and so too somebody born on a Sunday is going to possess that same type of binary identity. Okay, moving right along to Monday. One who was born on the second day of the week. Monday will be a short-tempered person. What is the reason for this? It is because on that day, the second day of creation, the upper and lower waters were divided. Therefore, it is a day of contentiousness. It's a day of separation. It's a day of division. And therefore, a person born on Monday can also have that little bit of that leaning of divisiveness within him. Moving along. One who was born on the third day of the week will be rich. Good day. Tuesday's a good day. What is the reason for this? It is because on that day, the third day, vegetation was created which grows abundantly. Vegetation grows freely and abundantly, and so too, somebody born on Tuesday will experience richness in life of things just growing abundantly within his life. By the way, it doesn't say physical richness, just in general richness, whatever that means, in any area of life.
Also related to because on that day God said good twice?
But the Talmud doesn't give that reason. But yeah, that does sound like another good reason why it's a good lucky day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Talmud pins it to what was created on that day. Okay. One who was born on the fourth day of the week will be a wise and enlightened person. What is the reason for this? It is because the heavenly lights were hung in the heavens on that day, and wisdom is likened to light. So Wednesday is a good day, be a bright person. One who was born on the fifth day of the week will be a person who performs acts of kindness. What is the reason for this? It is because on that day the fish and fowl were created, and they do not receive their sustenance by performing work for people. They are sustained by the kindness of God alone. So fish and fowl, in a certain way, have the easiest time existing. God provides for them readily their sustenance. And it is a day where God personally showers those creations with kindness. So it is a day dominated by kindness. And therefore, somebody who is born on the fifth day, on Thursday, will have a tendency for kindness within them. Page 4. One who is born on the sixth day of the week will be a seeker. Yeah, Leah, yeah. One who is born on the sixth day of the week will be a seeker. What does that mean? Rabbi Nachman Bar Yitzchak said that this means that he will be one who seeks out mitzvot, as most of the activity on Friday involves preparation for Shabbos. So Friday is a great day to be born. It's a day where the energy of the day is preparation for Shabbos. Somebody who's born that day is going to be seeking out mitzvahs. And finally, one who is born on a Shabbat, on Shabbos, will be called a person of great sanctity because he was born on the sacred day of Shabbos. All right. Now, the Talmud actually does give a lot more options and variables, which you'll see there's quite a few ellipses, right? Those 3 dots here, which take out some details, but this is the basic idea. Yes, Marshall?
So in categorizing what this is Judaically, this is not a rabbinic law. Is this just a Hasidic belief, or how would you classify this as where it is in the hierarchy?
Yeah, this is not law. This is not law. This is what we call Agada, the teachings of the Talmud, which are not relevant to Jewish law, but they give us insight in, Jewish ideals, Jewish beliefs, Jewish philosophies, and there is this idea in the Agada, in the Agadic teachings, which are not halachic teachings. They're just teachings which are part of the Jewish corpus of knowledge, Jewish corpus of beliefs. That there is a connection between the day that you were born, the day of the week that you were born, and the inclinations of your soul. So, for example, I was born on a Shabbos. So the Talmud says I'll be called a person of great sanctity. You know what else the Talmud says? The Talmud gives another option for that. It could also mean that you're not in good shape. This is the basic idea. Yes, Marshall.
Is this primarily a Hasidic Agada, or is it more diffusely spread?
This is from the Talmud. So it's part of Jewish belief. It would probably be included in the part of Torah that we call like midrash. This would be like a midrashic teaching. Like the midrash gives us interesting insight into just Jewish beliefs. Okay. So here we have these ideas. Now the Rebbe begins the way the Rebbe enters into the subject. Just to give you context, the Rebbe said this talk on a Thursday. And one of the things that the Rebbe would do whenever he would begin a public gathering of Farbrengen, and by the way, if you guys ever want to have it, I want to encourage you, there's something to the experience of watching the full recording of a Farbrengen of the Rebbe, which many of them, on the weekday ones, were recorded. Some of them were even recorded very professionally by a TV studio, because starting in 1980, 5 times a year, they would have the Rebbe's Farbrengens broadcast live on cable television. And they would have it with simultaneous translation. And they had a whole TV crew in 770, multiple camera angles to capture the Rebbe's Farbrengen. And these could have lasted for multiple hours. And the Rebbe's teaching, and there's a real energy. There's the Rebbe talks. Then there's singing of Hasidic songs. The Rebbe wishes a chaim to everybody. And this just goes on for hours. And the Rebbe gives multiple talks. And there was usually a certain structure of themes of how the Rebbe would move through this Farbrengen. And it's a real true experience. One of the things that I unfortunately don't do as much as I used to, but when I was a yeshiva boy, every Thursday night, whichever yeshiva boys wanted to gather, we would gather in a room in the yeshiva, and we would play one of the Rebbe's Farbrengens from beginning to end. So we would start like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, 10:30. And it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. You just shut off your phone and it just captivates you. And you learn from the Rebbe. And it's not just learning. It's not a class. It's an experience. And we would put it on the projector and watch a Farbrengen for, minimum it's 2 hours, 3 hours. And a Farbrengen could even be 5-6 hours. So the Rebbe would always try to connect and speak about the day that we are meeting. What day of the month is it? What day of the week is it? What's this week's Shabbos Torah portion? And they would always try to tie everything in together and bring lessons out from everything. So that day was Thursday. This time, this talk, the Rebbe this is actually on recording. I don't know if it's on video. Maybe it's on video too. Yeah, this is on video. This talk is on video. I can even try to look for it. I'll send it to all of you. So now we'll begin the Rebbe's talk in the middle of page 4. And the Rebbe speaks about the day that it was. Then it was a Thursday. Says the Rebbe, there is a discussion in the Talmud at the conclusion of Tractate Shabbat, in which it is explained that every day of the week has within it a special connection to the behavior of a person born on that day. Okay, regarding Thursday, which is the day that the Rebbe is speaking, it says, one who was born on the 5th day of the week will be a person who performs acts of kindness. What is the reason for this? It is because on that day, the fish and fowl were created. Rashi explains a connection, because fish and fowl do not have to work for their food, but are supplied by God's kindness. Okay, to explain. Now, what's a connection that we were born thousands of years after the creation of the world, and all of a sudden we're born on this day? Oh, because on that day, Tuesday, thousands of years ago, God did this, therefore, what's the connection? So Rebbe says, to explain, Hasidic teachings, here you go, Marshall. Hasidus explains the Talmud. Hasidic teachings explain that the 6 days of creation are repeated every week. Really, it's a continuous cycle. This is the reason we say in our daily prayers, Hayom Yom Rishon b'Shabbat. In every single day of prayer, there's something called the Song of the Day. And the way we introduce, we say a psalm for every single day of the week. If it's Sunday, we say one psalm. Monday, a different psalm. So if you come on Shabbos to Shul, we say Hayom Yom Shabbos Kodesh, right? This is the day of Shabbos Kodesh. Right, page 5. Today is the first day of the week. Even though from the creation of the world until today, there have passed thousands and myriads of days. Why are we still invoking the idea that today is Sunday, today is Friday, the sixth day of creation? Creation was history. Says the Rebbe, quoting Chassidus, this is because they are the days of a weekly cycle which are repeated again. So every Sunday is really the first day, like the first day of creation. What the Rebbe is saying is that every single day really captures within it the energy of that day. When we keep Shabbos, we're not only keeping Shabbos because, 5,784 years ago, God decided that when he created the world, he'll rest on Shabbos. Therefore, we are commemorating that Shabbos. No. In a certain way, whatever energy God invested into the world in the 6 days of creation, that energy is present again on that same day of the week when we go through that day. So whatever was created on that day carries that energy. So Shabbos is not commemorating thousands of years ago. Shabbos is today. Today is that energy. And since every day of the week is a repetition of its day during the days of creation, it is clear that the unique character of each of those days has an effect on the character and personality of a person born on that particular day. So it's a very real thing. When you are born on that day, that means you're being created with the energy of a Tuesday. Now, what's the energy of the Tuesday? You're being created in the day of that energy, so it automatically has a direct effect on you. Let's bring it back to Thursday. Continues the Rebbe. Because God's kindness is emphasized on Thursday, when fish and fowl who live by God's kindness were created, a person born on that day will be one who performs acts of kindness and good deeds. Oh. So a person born on Thursday was a day of God's kindness, of abundance of God's kindness. The person will also have a little bit of that inclination of kindness and doing good deeds. In other words, even without this statement, every Jew is obligated to do acts of kindness. Right? Every Jew really has to do acts of kindness. Our sages taught regarding the commandment to cleave to God. There's a mitzvah to connect to God. Our sages explain that just as God does acts of kindness, you do acts of kindness. So number one, acts of kindness are not only for Jews who are born on Thursday. Every Jew has a mitzvah to do acts of kindness. It's our way of emulating God. Furthermore, says the Rebbe, acts of kindness are considered one of the fundamental traits of the Jewish people. Quote, they are compassionate, bashful, and do acts of kindness. So it's a natural trait of every single Jew. So the Rebbe says, but yet, in addition, there is a special emphasis regarding someone born on a Thursday, that he will personify kindness. So Thursday is a special day that somebody born on a Thursday carries the energy of kindness, which is the dominant energy of God present on Thursday. So says the Rebbe, page 6. What is the lesson on a practical level? What's the lesson? They're saying today's a Thursday. We're meeting on a Thursday. What's the lesson for us today? Says the Rebbe, a person should increase in his individual performance of acts of kindness, both in the literal sense and also in the spiritual sense through influencing others and spreading Torah and mitzvah observance. And all this in a manner that supersedes all limitations, similar to the kindness displayed on the fifth day of creation, the kindness of God himself. So it's a Thursday. We're meeting on a Thursday. Thursday is a day of kindness. The Rebbe says it's a day to recommit ourselves to kindness and an abundance of kindness, which is what the fifth day of creation was all about. Now the Rebbe is going to bring this idea to Joseph. And the Rebbe is going to tie in the idea of us adding and doing more kindness and the concern that may arise from that and connect it to Joseph and Joseph's blessing from this week's parsha. And you'll see in a moment how it all is going to come together. So on page 7, let us right now quote from this week's parsha, the blessing of Jacob to Joseph. Page 7, source 2. Says Jacob, Joseph is a fruitful son, like a fruitful vine by the fountain with branches running over the wall. By the way, let's just stop there. You read this blessing, this is a very cryptic verse. Some verses in the Torah, you read it, you know exactly what's happening. Some verses in the Torah, you read it, and yeah. What's going on? What does a fruitful son mean? Fruitful vine, a vine by the fountain, branches running over the wall. What's the significance? So you see how every word over here contains a lot of meaning. Okay, Rashi tells us, what does that mean? Branches running over the wall. A fruitful vine by the fountain. What does that mean? Rashi says, it gives us a deeper meaning of this blessing, and you'll see in a moment where he gets it from within the verse. Says Rashi, the rabbis interpreted it to mean that no evil eye should influence his descendants. No evil eye should influence his descendants. That was a blessing to Joseph. Joseph's children will never have to suffer from the evil eye. Let's talk a little bit about the evil eye for a moment. What does it mean, evil eye? There is a belief in Judaism that of something called an ayin hara, an evil eye. And that's why we say in Judaism, right? We have the famous Yiddish saying, Kain ayin hara. Or people say it very quickly, Kain ayin hara, right? Kain ayin hara. It's 3 words, Kain ayin hara. There should be no ayin hara, no evil eye. And there's a lot of things that we do in Judaism that the reason why we do this is to avoid the evil eye. So, for example, there's an idea which also touches upon the story of Joseph and his brothers. There's a law in Jewish law that we don't give 2 immediate relatives an aliyah back to back. So 2 siblings should not get an aliyah one after the other. Father and son should not get an aliyah one after the other. And why not? Not to bring too much focus on one family. And one of the places where we see this is that when Jacob sent his sons down to Egypt to get food during the years of famine, which we have in the previous Torah portions, Jacob instructed them not to go into Egypt together, but they should mingle in with the people. They shouldn't look like one group. And the reason for that is that Jacob did not want the sons. The sons were very impressive boys, impressive men. And he felt it would bring a lot of attention to the family if they stand out. And he didn't want to bring the spiritual effect of the evil eye. He didn't want to have that cast on his family. And we do that even with aliyahs. 2 siblings don't get an aliyah together. Another example of where we do this, in fact, is by the chuppah, we break a glass. Why do we break a glass by the chuppah? There's one reason, which is commonly given, which is to remember the destruction of Jerusalem and the Holy Temple. And it's a way of saying that our joy is never complete. There's something broken. Even within our celebration, we're remembering the brokenness. How we're really inside we're broken, which we break the glass. There's another reason for that. There's an explanation given by the sages that sometimes in the midst of such a great celebration, a wedding and a whole fanfare, people are coming, there could be a destructive force. The evil eye could come in. And something maybe is destined to go wrong at the wedding or for this marriage. So what we do is we break a glass. And that is a way of saying if anything negative has to happen here, if anything needs to break, something just broke, we're done. Meaning this should kind of fulfill the obligation that if something needs to go wrong, something just went wrong. So we see, and there's many more examples of where in Judaism there's a certain idea of trying to avoid the evil eye a little bit. The way it's explained by the sages is an idea like this. Sometimes we lose out on good fortune when things are too out in the open. When things become too public and it attracts a lot of attention, we sometimes lose those blessings. And there's an analogy given for this. Imagine, and I do this with my son sometimes, with Mendel or Shana. Imagine my Mendel or my Shana is having a bad day. and maybe they did something special and I want to reward them. So I'll give my Mendel a little piece of chocolate and say, Mendel, I'm giving you chocolate, but please do not let the other kids see this. Because I can't give them chocolates, only for you. You did something special, or you had a very rough day. I'm giving you a piece of chocolate. Imagine Mendel goes now, and now runs around the whole house showing all the other kids his chocolate. And now all the other kids are crying and running over to me. Oh, I want chocolate. So what am I going to tell Mendel? Say, Mendel, I'm sorry, you just lost your piece of chocolate. I'm sorry, I thought I could trust you. I'm trying to give you extra blessings, extra goodness, and I can't give it to you out in the open. I'm giving it to you from a back channel. Sometimes when it brings undue attention, makes us lose blessings, and that is the idea of the evil eye. Joseph was given the blessing that with all this fruitfulness that Joseph is going to be blessed with, there'll be no influence of the evil eye. So now let's read what the Rebbe says about this. Middle of page 7. A further point. Regarding the virtue of Thursday, the Talmud states on the 5th day of the week the blessing for fish was given. The blessing to be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters. Here we start seeing the connection. Thursday. Thursday is a day of kindness. What was created on Thursday? Fish. Fish were given specifically the blessing to be fruitful and multiply. There were only two things that really were given the blessing to be fruitful and multiply. Fish and humans. And we indeed see the sages speak about this a lot, and we see this in nature as well. Fish are unbelievably prolific. When fish multiply like crazy, they have a blessing of multiplication. They give off offspring successfully and in abundance. That's fish. So fish is a day that represents God's tremendous kindness. And fish is also something that represents tremendous blessings of fruitful and multiply. Says the Rebbe, continues the Rebbe, although the blessing of to be fruitful and multiply was also given to the human being on the 6th day, so we got that blessing as well, humans. And that blessing, the blessing to humans, is loftier than the blessing to the fish, as the Talmud there indeed states. But nevertheless, in one respect, fish do have an advantage. The blessing that God gave to the fish to be fruitful and multiply has an advantage over the blessing that we humans got, which is our sages on the verse. Let them multiply like fish in the midst of the earth, state, fish in the sea are covered by water, and the evil eye has no power over them. Fish are never affected by the evil eye. Why? Because they're always covered. The water covers the fish. The water hides the fish. And blessings happen when it's undercover. And that is why fish are so successful. That's why fish are so prolific. Thus, the blessing given to fish has unique feature. As our sages have said, a blessing is found only in something upon which the evil eye has no dominion, something covered from view. Because fish are covered from view, it's hidden, therefore the evil eye has no control over that. So fish were given the blessing that in their accomplishments, in their progeny, there's no evil eye. And let's now read that piece of Talmud, which the Rebbe is quoting right now, which is source 3 on page 8. The sages asked Rabbi Yochanan, Master, do you not fear the evil eye? He answered, I am a descendant of Joseph. You see this? I'm a descendant of Joseph, over whom the evil eye has no dominion. As it is written in this week's parsha, which we just quoted, Joseph is a fruitful son, like a fruitful vine by the fountain, with branches running over the wall. And what the Hebrew for that is ali ayin. Branches running over the wall, ali ayin. Ayin could mean a wall. Let's read that. Ayin can mean both spring and eye. Sorry, fruitful vine by the fountain, ali ayin. Vine by the fountain. So ayin can mean both a spring and an eye. And Rabbi Abahu said a homiletic interpretation. Do not read it ali ayin. Rather, ole ayin, above the eye. They transcend the influence of the evil eye. This is where Rashi takes his commentary from. It says Joseph is a fruitful son, like a fruitful vine by the fountain. And it doesn't only mean fruitful vine by the fountain, but it means fruitful above the eye. That when Joseph is successful and fruitful, it's above the eye. He transcends the power of the evil eye. And Rabbi Yochanan said, therefore, I don't fear the evil eye. Other people have to be careful that when they do things that shouldn't be too out in the open, don't cause undue attention. Doesn't apply to me, says Rabbi Yochanan, because that is the deeper hidden message in Jacob's blessing to Joseph. He is a fruitful vine by the fountain, or you could also read a fruitful over the eye. He's fruitful over the eye. Let's continue the Talmud. Rabbi Yosei, the son of Rabbi Hanina, cited proof from Jacob's blessing of Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. The same idea is also found in the blessing that Jacob gave to Joseph's sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. The blessing is, beautiful blessing, the angel who redeems me from all evil shall bless the young, and in them may my name be recalled, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac. And may they multiply, v'yidgu, in the midst of the earth. V'yidgu can mean multiply, and it can also mean fish. They shall be like the fish in the midst of the earth. What is the meaning that Jacob is blessing Joseph's sons who should be like fish? The meaning is like this. Just as the fish in the sea, water covers them, and the evil eye has no dominion over them, so too the seed of Joseph, the evil eye has no dominion over them. So here we have, it's a Thursday. And the Rebbe says today's a day of kindness. Today's also the day of fish. And fish represent no evil eye, which is the blessing that was given to Joseph of this week's parsha. What is the message of all this for us? What is the message of all this for us? So Rebbe is bringing in all these sources and all these ideas. And Leah, yes, there is an idea of that as well, that the fish's eye is always open. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, it connects in as well. So the Rebbe concludes like this. Today's a day of kindness, and today's a day which represents no evil eye. That's the blessing of Thursday, and that's the blessing of this week's Torah portion, the children of Joseph. The Rebbe now brings it down to practical life. The Rebbe says, we all need to encourage ourselves. And really, every single time, they would always say this. Why are we meeting to Farbring? Why is the Rebbe meeting with people? Why is the Rebbe gathering here for many hours with a few thousand people to speak and teach? For what? The Rebbe says we're here to inspire ourselves to get work done. We're all here to inspire ourselves. It's like that tomorrow morning we wake up after this Farbringen and we feel inspired and motivated to get things done. And the Rebbe now is going to speak to the idea that some people feel, we're doing work, especially within the world of Chabad. We're doing outreach work. We're bringing so much attention to ourselves. Is it unhealthy? Maybe it's too much. The evil eye. Don't bring too much attention. Should we not bring attention to the success of the Jewish people, to the success of Chabad? Should we not put a public menorah in a park and gather a few hundred Jews because, it's bringing too much attention to the Jewish people? And some can even say it's a Jewish value. Look, evil eye. And things have to be covered over. It's like that we have no curses of the evil eye. And some people even say, some people told the Rebbe that in their work of teaching Torah and spreading Judaism and the work of Chabad, they found they were met with a lot of difficulty. And it wasn't easy sometimes. Financial difficulty or just or real tension in the community, opposition to the presence of Chabad. And the Rebbe is going to connect this in. And what the Rebbe says is, we are the children of Joseph. Not only the original Joseph, not only the original leader of the Jewish people, Joseph of Egypt, but the more recent Joseph. The Rebbe says we are all following in the ways of the previous Rebbe, whose name was Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak. Joseph. His name was Joseph also. And the Rebbe says, therefore, we have no need to worry about the evil eye, because we are following in the path of our leader Joseph. We are the children of Joseph. And the Rebbe speaks in very, very practical, beautiful terms about this attitude of not worrying about the evil eye and dealing with the difficulties that we sometimes face and how we should be unfazed by them. So let's learn. This is such a beautiful piece over here. Page 9. The Rebbe says, the above explanation has special relevance to our generation because the previous Rebbe's name was Yosef. And the body, meaning the people of the generation, follows the head. If our leader's name is Yosef, that means we have a connection to Joseph. In practical terms, the Rebbe says, when we demand that one perform his divine service, which is giving charity, spreading Judaism, or the like, in a manner that transcends all limits, the Rebbe is always pushing people to do more and more and more and more. The Rebbe says, one need not fear the evil eye, meaning fearing what others will think. The evil eye is caused by the thoughts of other people. The Rebbe says, we don't need to worry about what other people think. We don't need to worry about other people's negativity or questioning or animosity even or negativity. We don't have to think about that. In the words of the verse, why should you fear? I am a descendant of Joseph over whom the evil eye has no dominion. This is what Rabbi Yochanan said. We have to tell it to ourselves. We are not worried of the evil eye. We're not worried about other people's negative thoughts because we are the descendants of Joseph. We have the leader Joseph on our side. And the Rebbe continues, when, therefore, a Jew spreads Judaism in his role as the seed of Joseph, his results will multiply like fish in the midst of the earth with supernatural success. We're connected with Joseph. Joseph is the blessing of fish. Joseph's children were given the blessings of fish, which multiply with tremendous success. They're very prolific. And the Rebbe says, also us as well will be blessed to multiply like fish. Those who follow in the ways of the Rebbe will be blessed like fish. The fact that he is in the midst of the earth, which is a place where God is concealed, won't have an adverse effect and weaken his godly service, God forbid. But to the contrary, his work in a place of darkness will propel him to success in far greater measures in ways that would not be possible otherwise. The Rebbe says, the challenges of being in a world which is maybe not being supportive and being in opposition to the work itself will make you even more successful. As our sages said, it will be, quote, like the power of light which emerges from within darkness. In the words of the Torah, as they oppressed them, so they proliferated and spread. In the story of the Exodus, Pharaoh's number one agenda was to bring down the birth rate of the Jews. He did not like that Jews were having many children. And Pharaoh had a very good plan. Let's weaken the Jews. Let's make men not go home. Let's make the men go home and simply be uninterested in anything but going straight to bed. They'll be so wiped out. That's it. Biologically, less children are going to be produced by the Jewish people if we just put that immense pressure on them. And the Torah says, as they oppressed them, so they proliferated and spread. The pain only caused even more success to the Jewish people. And the Rebbe said that about us as well. When we do our work, and even when we face pressure and darkness, we're in the midst of the earth, we'll still be like fish. That is actually the key to our success. The difficulties itself is what gives us extra power to be even more successful and to multiply even more. The Rebbe says something so special here, so interesting. Such a fascinating idea. Let's read. Middle of page 10. We find a fascinating concept with regard to the tribe of Levi, which was smallest in population compared to the other tribes. In the Torah, you have multiple censuses, times where the Torah tells you the number of families in every tribe. Levi is the smallest tribe. That's a fact. Levi is very small, noticeably smaller. The Rebbe says it seems very puzzling at first glance. Why would Levi be the one to be the smallest tribe? The tribe of Levi was chosen to stand before God to serve him. Levi, the tribe of Levi, is the tribe of the Kohanim, of the priests, of the Levites. It's a very special tribe. God chose them. And God says about them, I am your portion and your inheritance. God is my allotted portion and my share. And if so, why is Levi the smallest in population? How could it be that this blessed chosen tribe is the smallest tribe? How can those serving him and his pious ones not be blessed by God as the rest of the people? That's the question. How could it be? You know what the answer is? The Rebbe says the only tribe who wasn't oppressed in Egypt was the tribe of Levi. It's a very interesting thing. Most of the Jewish people was oppressed by slavery. The tribe of Levi was never oppressed by the Egyptians. Maybe we'll talk another time why not, but that's the fact. Tribe of Levi did not go through the pain and the suffering. And the Rebbe says, that's why they did not get the blessings to multiply from the oppression. Let's read. One of the explanations. I mean, there's multiple explanations, but one of the explanations. When the Jewish people were subjugated in Egypt, God blessed them that as they oppressed them, so they proliferated and spread. Therefore, the tribe of Levi, who were not subjected to slave labor, did not merit this blessing. And thus they multiplied only naturally. This gives us a glimpse into the power of the blessing that as they oppressed them, so they proliferated and spread. So Rebbe says two things. Number one, don't worry about what other people think. We are the children of Joseph. Our leader's name is Joseph, and therefore no evil eye will touch us. We don't have to worry about what other people think. And even when we face difficulty in our mission, in our divine service, the difficulty itself is what propels us and brings us to supernatural miracles of totally unnatural growth. And the Rebbe says like this. The Rebbe concludes on page 11. Now, in our case, since the seed of Joseph, beginning with Joseph himself, which was the previous Rebbe, and all the students and followers of the previous Rebbe, underwent unimaginable oppression. They went through unbelievable oppression, specifically in Russia, in the former Soviet Union. The idea of as they oppressed them, so they proliferated and spread, certainly applies. The Rebbe says this definitely applies to the work of Chabad and the work of everybody who supports the work of Chabad and is involved with the work of Chabad. That we were tremendously oppressed, and therefore we all have God's tremendous supernatural blessings for success. They shall multiply like fish, both in material matters and certainly in the dissemination of Judaism and Hasidism. When it comes even personally to your own personal success, you'll have success. And especially in sharing Judaism with others, we have God's supernatural blessings of success. That's what the Rebbe says. The lesson in practical terms. What's the lesson? The Rebbe says, disregard all obstacles and scoffing remarks. Disregard it. The Rebbe says, stop making a big deal about challenges. Don't make a big deal about obstacles and what other people say. Those will not be able to disrupt your work. Such reassuring words of the Rebbe. Those will not be able to disrupt your work. And to the contrary, it will bring you to a point where they proliferated and spread. It will only make you even more successful. We have no doubt fulfilled our obligations of oppression merely by speaking of the matter. It is explained in several sources regarding the Egyptian enslavement that in lieu of the backbreaking labor of mortar and bricks in the literal sense, we could fulfill our obligation with the toil and labor of Torah study. That should suffice to express the concept of as they oppressed them, and the outcome will then be, so they proliferated and spread. It begins with Torah study in its most perfect form, and being that study is great, for it leads to action, it is obvious that the matter of so they proliferated and spread will continue and be effective on a practical level as well. And in the most literal sense, to bring blessings in matters of children, health, and plentiful sustenance, and blessings of plenty in all matters, both on a spiritual level and most importantly on a material one. So the Rebbe says, beautiful little insight from this week's parsha. We all have a connection with Joseph. Joseph was blessed with the blessing of fish, no evil eye, great proliferation, great success. And the Rebbe says that applies to us since our leader, we are following in the footsteps and we are connected to the leader, Joseph, the previous Rebbe. And the Rebbe says, therefore we have those blessings and we shouldn't be deterred. and we're all going to be successful, and we'll see God's blessings. And I want to wish every single one of you that blessing as well, especially since all of you, just recently, I'll use this opportunity to thank you. Every single one of you were such wonderful partners and donors in our most recent campaign to partner with the work of Chabad, specifically locally. And may this blessing apply to every single one of us, of great blessing, and that nothing can stop us in our path of success, personally and in spreading Yiddishkeit to all of our surroundings. And dear friends, may the blessing that Jacob gave to Joseph be fulfilled in every single one of us, and may we see that. And that is our Torah deep dive for this week. I want to wish you all a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you all very soon. And that is our Torah deep dive. Amen, amen.
To you as well.
So this was the opening talk of the Rebbe for this Farbrengen. A beautiful little insight to get us all recommitted and excited and reassured. And then the Rebbe spoke for multiple hours following this. And with that, let's make it a wrap. All right, have a wonderful Shabbos. We'll see you all soon.
Shabbos.
Thank you.
Sei gesund. Bye-bye.